I haven't noticed something. It's new.
And the background is new.
Music different. Oh, it's not so annoying.
I was busy. I didn't get to listen to your video, but
that's all right.
Yeah,
you will.
Get this over here.
I should.
Shadow overlay over here.
Also.
And I looked, and we are going live. We are live, so
live is good.
I don't know where I'm live to, but I know YouTube, Facebook, I suppose a couple places on Facebook, it looks like. Yeah, so we'll just wait for people to come into the stream. How you doing, buddy?
So it seems like I'm doing good.
Episode 61, by the way.
Oh, my God.
61. They didn't think we'd make it past 6.
I didn't think I would either.
Well, all the critics at the beginning, how many downloads are you getting? You won't last. Episode 61.
Yeah, well, and we can continue to say we do move the needle on some level, which is the goal. The goal.
That's it.
You know, but it seems the weeks just fly by. I mean, the weeks just fly by, and
especially when you're retired.
I don't know how. I'm in like career crisis because I don't want to work anymore. The job I have when I work is super intense, but it's slow in the slow time of year. So I'm not making enough money, but I'm like, I don't want to work more. I just want to make more.
Exactly. That's the goal.
I'm ready to bag groceries at Market Basket and call it a life,
Yeah.
Anyway. I don't know. So before we go too far, just a quick thing. Actually, you know what? Let's save it. We'll talk about that later. We probably because I forgot we have a guest. We have I thought a local guest waiting in the wings for us, but I didn't realize he was from Tewksbury.
Somewhat though. He has his boat in Winthrop.
It's a good point.
Son lives in Winthrop.
Yeah, he's got roots.
So he's got a connection.
He's like part of the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
He's only a couple.
So what's been going on? Anything in not related to our topics tonight? How's everything in the Sacco household?
Report cards came out. I won't go too far into detail, but it was a good day.
All right.
It was a good day.
That's all people need to hear.
I think Winthrop people should be happy. The Vikings beat Swampscott, a rival that we no longer play anymore. I don't know if you know that, but we don't play Swampscott anymore.
Yeah, the old Northeast Conference.
All busted up.
All gone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They ruin everything.
They do ruin everything.
It was so simple back then.
Yes.
And there was what year was it? 83 when Winthrop were the defending Super Bowl champions, and they were undefeated, and they didn't make it into the playoffs because of a point system. Remember, there was a point system about that some school edged them out because they played.
That was higher. That was after 86, actually. But yes, that did happen. And 83 was the end of the 3-year streak when they won the last Super Bowl at Foxborough. I was on the sidelines for most of the year as a sophomore. I was scout team, sled pad, get your ass kicked until the end of the year. And then at Thanksgiving, coach said, "You're done. We can only have so many, and you're not coming with us to Foxborough, so you can't be on the sidelines for Thanksgiving." I'm like, awesome. Thank you.
What is that noise?
I'm getting emails. I'm going to need to shut that down.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Annoying.
Oh, please. That happens all day long, too.
Anyway. Yeah, some of them are me.
Uh-huh. Some of them are me. Okay.
Yeah, let me just run some.
That won't happen again. That won't happen again.
Oh, we go again.
Where are we going? What are you talking about?
I'm sending a text seeing if the comments are coming through. There it is. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You listen.
I had a problem with that a couple of weeks ago.
Right, but you've nailed this now, so I'm not sure.
Always trying to fix it. Always trying to fix it.
Trying to make it better. Well, we do get setbacks sometimes, so I guess you should be on your toes.
So, all right, let's jump into it. What's
Yeah, so
what do we have?
A few weeks ago, the Parks and Recs, my friend Sean Driscoll runs the program, good man, had a fall fair or craft fair down at Ingleside Park, and I always like to go by there and see if there's anything interesting. And on my way out, I walked by this guy, Frank's booth, I guess you'll call it. Frank's Innovative Bird Creations. And I couldn't believe, it just jumped out at me. Like, look at this. This guy makes birds out of PVC. And like we said, he's from Tewksbury, but his son's got a family or lives here, and he's got his boat at the marina on Shirley Street there, Crystal Cove. So I wanted to have him on to tell us how he got into this thing, and maybe hopefully get him a couple of extra sales out of it too. So if we could bring him in, say hello to Frank.
Let's bring him on.
Hi, Frank.
Hello, everyone.
All right.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
got all my people behind me here.
What's that?
I got all my creatures behind me.
Yes, you do. All your creations are right there. So my first question, I've been dying to ask you this, is how does a guy look at a PVC pipe and say, I can make birds out of that?
So I went to Branson about 3 years ago, Branson, Missouri. And I went into a craft mall, and I happened upon this gentleman that was making these birds, and he was selling the template, which is how you start making the bird. He was selling template kits. So I picked up one of those kits, and I had it for about a year or so, and then the pandemic came along, and I'm retired. So I said, wow, I have this idea and this time now. So I started on this venture. I started making egrets and ducks, and expanded it to some of my own designs. I designed a loon and a great blue heron and a seagull, and so I'm doing all sorts of different birds now, hummingbirds and so on.
So the process, you said, okay, I'm going to take a PVC pipe, and then I guess what the process is: cut it, heat it, bend it, mold it, type thing. Right.
You put your template on the pipe, you trace it, then you have to cut it out with a jigsaw. Then you have to sand it all with 150 grit sandpaper, get all the rough edges off, and then you get a heat gun, and you have to bend it to get your proper shape that you want for the neck and the head. So
the crane behind you over your right shoulder.
Yes.
Like, how long would that take to make?
It's probably I do it in stages. I would say it's probably 2 or 3 hours per bird.
Wow. I thought it would be longer. That's pretty good.
Because you have to cut it out. So I usually cut out a number of them, maybe half a dozen. And then I start sanding them all and get them all sanded. And then once they're sanded, then I have to do the heating process. So I don't do a bird all the way through. I do a set of them at a time.
Are they all one piece? Or do they come in like?
They're all one piece. Yeah, each bird is one piece, right?
Wow. So do you ship them if someone wanted something somewhere? Are you able to ship those, or is that?
My one foray into shipping was didn't really work. The problem with something like an egret, for example, that probably stands 25 inches tall or so, is when you put it in a box, it becomes a very big box.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't weigh much. And so it's not too economical to actually ship them, unfortunately. Right. So I've mostly been dealing with, just having people do pickup or community markets and fairs and things like that.
But if somebody wanted to pay for the delivery, just add that into the cost, or is it just aggravation for you to box it? And
I mean, you probably
I don't
could
mean
locally, I
aggravation.
guess. My example, I had looked into shipping an egret to Florida, for example. It was going to be like $70 for shipping.
Oh, wow.
So it was really, I thought, just prohibitive. The cost was
Wow.
so high for the shipping.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's
Yeah.
because the box is so big, right? It's the size of the box?
Exactly. It's not the weight at all. It's just a cubic.
Right. They'd rather a smaller, heavier box because it takes up less room on the truck.
That's right. Right.
Yeah, I wish it was otherwise, because I have a lot
He
of
wants one.
blue herrings and cranes down here in Boca in the lake right now near my house, like literally like 50 yards away.
Scott, they would look great on your mini golf course.
They land in my yard like these things. I'd love to have a fake one to freak them out.
Oh, I have a bunch of them in Florida. My college roommate has one in Jacksonville, and the real egrets come right up to it. He lives right on the lake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he loves it. So I can do a road trip sometime. I'll be coming down in March. If we can set something up, I can bring you one down.
I'm in South Florida, so we can figure it out from there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, what is and so while we're talking about that, what are the price ranges?
So right now the large egrets are $40, and the great blue herons are $40.
It's not bad.
And then $35 for the a seagull on a base, or if it's a seagull on a post like you see here, it's $40.
Wow. Okay.
So I've kind of held my prices so far. Like everything else, supplies keep going up and up and up. Paint. The PVC pipe has really exploded in price, but I've actually been able to use a PVC pipe that you can't use under pressure. I was talking to one of the Winthrop plumbers about it, actually. He was interested in it. And so I'm able to get it a little bit less expensive, but it's still probably twice of what I used to pay for a 10-foot piece of PVC,
Right. Now, do you have any type of social media presence?
I don't really know.
Okay. All right.
No, he's winging it.
Suggested I should link up with local plumbers and get some of their scrap PVC, which is probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Now your margins go, because they're just going to throw that stuff out. What's the minimum length of PVC you need?
Oh, probably about 18 inches or so. An egret takes up probably 3 feet or plus or more.
Yep.
I mean, your product is perfect for like I was just saying, social media like Instagram and even Facebook. There's people that do different types of things, different types of art. They don't necessarily sell it over Facebook, but they get a following of people that love stuff like that. And it just becomes more interactive with people and hey, maybe somebody will pay the $70.
Sure.
I mean, it's just my suggestion. I think you got the perfect product for an Instagram account and a Facebook page or Facebook, just a regular face, not even a page or a group.
And Scott, it's one of those products where I think it's niche enough that he wouldn't be bombarded with orders. You know what I mean?
And if he is, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good problem. You can just pick and choose
the
one you
problem
want.
to have.
Yeah, it's true. Of course, if he's the type of guy that feels like he has to answer everybody like I am, that becomes problematic quickly.
So, Frank, let me ask you: were you always artistic when you were growing up, or as a younger man? Did this just something that dawned on you later on in life? How did this work?
I think probably I've always been handy around the house, with tools. I've always been comfortable with tools. Not as much. I don't know about the artistic part, but this gave me sort of a nice outlet. Particularly during the pandemic, because it was, kept me busy, kept me outside when we all had to kind of isolate. So it gave me something to do and be creative,
Yeah, you retired and the pandemic put you in that direction. I retired and the pandemic put me on podcasting and live streaming.
Yeah.
So it's an outlet. It's an absolute, it's an outlet.
That's right.
And then I met Todd and then, this is how this happened.
Yeah.
Things got ugly quick.
Things got ugly.
Yeah, the one challenge I have here in New England is that when the cold weather comes, I can't really do my spray painting because I do it all outside.
Ah, yeah.
So that's a little bit of a challenge, So when I come into the cold months,
what's your cutoff? What's your cutoff month? Or do you just go by the weather? Like today's a good day, I can spray paint.
Yeah, I mean, if we get days that are 50 or so, you can spray paint.
Okay. Yeah.
But when it gets down in the 20s and 30s, it really can't.
It's January, February,
Yeah.
March. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So do you have you go to different events around the area, art and crafts fairs, like
Right.
you were at the thing at Winthrop, and do you have do you make some sales there, or is that just
I do. Yep, I go to community markets. Like in Tewksbury, I did 3 or 4 community markets.
okay?
I did the Winthrop Fall Fair, so I do things like that, and then a lot of it is people I know as well.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. Any of these things you start giving away to family and friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
presents and things like that.
But the prices are very reasonable for what you do. I mean,
yeah.
I was looking at that crane in the background. I'm like, that's got to be like $80.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. No, I've kept the prices low.
Good for
purposely.
you. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful stuff. I mean, you got to see it in person, Scott. I mean, it's really impressive.
I can only imagine. Yeah. Yeah. When are you coming down to Florida, Frank?
In March.
There you go.
March. Okay.
There you go.
Let Todd know. And then maybe we'll work something out here.
Yeah, I've delivered a number of them into Florida, believe it or not. I've got a lot of flamingos down there, the pink flamingos over here. I got a number of those in Florida, and a number of egrets as well.
I like the egrets in the cranes and the
The pink flamingos would have been a big hit at Hialeah. Back in the day.
I actually have a putting green in my backyard, so that one of those cranes would look beautiful sitting right in the middle of it.
I'm thinking you got to get one.
Yeah.
Put a windmill in a crane.
Yeah. Into a putt course. When's your next event, Frank?
Yeah. Tell the audience what you want them to hear.
Yeah, I don't have one planned right now, to be honest.
Okay.
But coming into the cooler months, the community markets have kind of tailed back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
do you stockpile over the winter? It's like, even if you can't paint, do you just make stuff and put it on the side and paint it, later on?
I do a bit of that, yeah. And I still have some in inventory now that I'll be using. I've used a lot for fundraising too. I'm involved with an organization called Power of Flower, which is where we make arrangements for people in nursing homes and veterans.
Oh, good for you, man. Good for you.
And I've donated, probably over $2,000 worth of birds to them.
Well, I'm a veteran, so I want to say thank you for doing that for the veterans. Thank you.
Yeah, and all the sales go to the either veterans or the nursing home flower arrangements. So
beautiful.
I had some great experiences with some veterans up in Drake. We made bouquets, and there were 2 tables of Marines there, and I took the 2 tables of Marines to make bouquets of flowers.
Oh, nice.
So one guy told me he wasn't going to do it right off. He said, "I'm not doing one." I said, "Okay, all right." And then we went on, and I started. And he said, "I changed my mind. I am going to make one," because he said, "I have a lady next door that brings me food. I'm going to make one for her and give it to her."
Ah, there you go.
And so by the end of the night, it was really nice to see. By the end of the night, they were so proud of what they were done. It was really very uplifting. They were fighting over. So we started out. We thought we could give them 2 roses per thing, and then we could give them 1 more. So I came around with a bucket of roses, and they said, I want to trade my yellow rose for a white rose. And I said, wait a minute, I thought you guys didn't care about this. No, we do care now. So they really got into it. That was a lot of fun. So
excellent,
funny.
Excellent.
So most of what I've done has really been on the donation side, but then I've done some of the markets too.
Right, right.
Oh.
So it sounds like you're not really in it for the money itself. You're in it for the satisfaction of. I mean, you got to love the looks on people's faces. You can't get sick of that, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
When they look at you and they're just like, holy, like Todd called me earlier and he was absolutely like fascinated with this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot.
So you're onto something really good. Instagram, Frank, Instagram.
Touchdown.
I got to come up with something. So people have told me when you retire, you should join Facebook because it's a good way to keep in touch.
It's a good way to get aggravated too.
Well, just only do it
you
for
might be better off not on it.
No, just only do it to hook up with your friends, stay out of the political conversations.
It's impossible.
It is. That's so hard.
It's impossible.
Anyway. Anyway,
no, I knock Facebook, but you know what? Facebook is a blessing and it's a curse. And the blessing is I've managed to hook up with at least 20 guys I was stationed with throughout my 10 years in the Air Force. And there's about 15 of us that were stationed together in the Philippines between 86 and 90. And we get together once a year. And without Facebook, we never really would. It was always kind of hit or miss. Where was somebody tracking? Yeah. But because of Facebook, that's the blessing. We've been getting together for the last 20-something years every year. And so Facebook is good for certain things. I do give it credit for that. It's good for a lot of things. It's good for a lot of things.
Yeah, because I met a lot of people around the country with my job. I traveled a lot for Raytheon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I was all over the country, and so I have a lot of friends, on all the states,
Yeah, yeah.
It would be handy for that.
Excellent. Well, all right, Frank. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah. All right, appreciate you having me.
Frank's Innovative Bird Creations. It's at the bottom of the screen.
857-205-2598.
Yep. And just give him a call and ask, I guess just, hey, what do you got? I said, Frank, what do you got? What do you got for me? I want the pink flamingo. I want about 10 pink flamingos, all right?
The seagulls are very popular in Winthrop.
Well, hopefully we get you some seagulls, Frank. And again, thank you so much. It was really great to meet you, and I love what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Take care.
All right, Frank, thank you very much. All right, my friend.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Good luck.
Too. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for helping the veterans. I appreciate that.
All right.
Take
care.
You got it.
Interesting
story. There he is. That's very good. Yeah.
Interesting story. Well, that was longer than I thought. We had him on for 22. He was thinking 10.
Well, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I think he's being very modest.
Agreed. Completely.
About his artistic ability, because that's he says, you just make a template. Like,
not as easy as it looks. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a whatever.
I can't make a template for a pizza.
You got to run a jigsaw over a 6-inch pipe, and while it's PVC, it's not steel. You still got to cut straight lines on a cylinder. That's some skill.
Absolutely. He's like, it's kind of handy around the house. I got a feeling Frank is quite the whiz around the house.
Yeah, probably can do it.
He's Frank the Fixer.
Frank the Fixer.
All right, so moving on.
We had an election, Scott.
Yeah. And our friend of the show, really good friend of the show, Jeff Turco, although he ran unopposed, I believe he campaigned like he was running against 10 people.
He's unopposed. He won.
He's tireless, but he didn't slack. He didn't slack. He could have just didn't have to do anything. Really?
No, he didn't. I mean, you're supposed to do stuff because you out of respect for your constituents. I mean, I will say Lydia was out there too. I don't think she works as hard as he does, but she works pretty hard.
But did she call us from France?
No, she didn't do that. She wouldn't call us from next door.
She wouldn't call us.
She wouldn't call me from outside the office here.
But she would call us something else.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I actually am glad that this came up, because I was thinking a lot about the other election that went on too, the more national election. And the saying is, all politics starts at the local level.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is true. If you really think about this for a second, I don't mean to go off on this tangent, but it kind of struck me. If you really think about it for a second, let's use Catherine Clark as an example. And let's take all the political nonsense and talking points out of it. She goes to, when Roe v. Wade gets overturned, she goes to Washington and gets fake arrested for the cause. Right. Okay.
Virtue signal.
Part of me says, okay, you feel for women in other states. Full stop. Okay, fine. But you were elected by us to deal with Massachusetts problems. But she's only responding to what her constituents want her to do. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, I don't understand why we keep electing people like this when they're not serving what you need. They're not dealing with infrastructure. They're not dealing with our public education system. They're not dealing with local. I'm not promoting this because I don't necessarily think it's a government thing, but she's not working in local issues in terms of climate, right? Or at least not out there outwardly. So local and this national election at this time really actually showed local politics mattered more in a way because and the Democrats should be thankful actually because they set a record, if you will, for the least losses, the least shellacking in a midterm. And it's because Roe v. Wade was overturned that it activated so many people who already have all the abortion rights in the world they need. And it activated students, like 18 to 24-year-olds decided this election in key states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and in the Northeast. New York, Massachusetts, etc.
Well, Massachusetts, they don't need students.
No,
Massachusetts is just what it is, what it's always been, and it's always going to be.
It's worse, actually. I think we've jumped the shark. I think we've further left now than California. I really do.
It's it is quite a sight to sit back and watch it happen.
I mean, it is what it is.
But
again, in the end, if there's things we all agree upon, we have major infrastructure problems here. We have the methadone mile, you know what I mean, that needs to be dealt with. Fentanyl is an issue here. We have illegal immigrants being delivered here by bus, whether you like the practice or not. Our elected officials who are here to serve us locally shouldn't be running off to Washington, D.C. They should be here dealing with the problems and helping us, on issues that matter here. Anyway, that's kind of my rant on that. Right. I know.
No, listen, it's all relative.
Yeah.
It's all relative. Absolutely.
It is, because we vote locally. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So congratulations to Jeff. Congratulations to Lydia. Yep. Although, again, they both ran unopposed. But, and I always say no one should run unopposed. But if somebody doesn't step up, well, then it's an easy win. There's no stress on election night, right?
None at all.
Go to bed early and wake up and you're in office. And, hey, listen.
Although, Jeff,
that's their plus. No, go on.
Jeff, if you're watching, I meant to file a complaint. There wasn't enough Chinese food at the buffet table after the election night.
Oh, what was on the buffet table? I should have.
Oh, actually, it was high quality stuff. You had crab rangoons, you had boneless spare ribs, lobster sauce, pork fries.
Calling that high end stuff?
For me, you can't get Chinese.
Did you literally say high end stuff? Crab rangoon. Did you really just say that?
Oh, wait, yeah, chicken fingers.
Chicken. You get that shit down the street.
Yeah, but you can't get it in Florida. At least not as good as you can get it up here.
No, that is my one. I love this state. I love Florida. I love being a Floridian. I love that there was a red wave in Florida, a tsunami, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't love the Chinese food. The Chinese food is adequate. They have some places have really good, like, chicken wings, but other than that, it's adequate at best. I've probably eat more Thai food than I eat Chinese food down there.
By the way, you just hit on something interesting when you said the red wave down there.
Oh, yeah.
This again is a great illustration of states' rights. And very simply what I mean is, for everybody around the country that's looking at Florida going, just don't go there.
No, they don't.
Let those people live.
I'm more than welcome to not say.
But let those, overwhelmingly, they voted for everything that those other people hate. So stay away from it. I mean, when I leave Massachusetts, I'm certainly not going to California or Washington State.
I mean, I don't think they're moving down here. I mean, listen, I hate the politics in Massachusetts. I hate the direction that state has gone in, but I still visit it because I have friends there, but I would never live there.
But the point,
you could give me a house on the beach in Winthrop, and I'm going to sell it. I just would not live there anymore.
The point is, though, if you live in Massachusetts and you are voting for people to go to Congress and pass national laws, federal laws on something that you want, but our entire states around the country disagree with you, why do you got to not mind your business?
That's that's politics. Politics is
it's ugly, and it's
stupid. Yeah. So okay, congratulations to them. Hey, was there a
yes,
it was a pretty vicious stabbing recently in Winthrop?
It didn't get a lot of coverage even on the
the Transcript didn't cover it. That's for sure.
No, and it got very little coverage on like the WCVB, and those news networks too.
Is there any story behind it? Is it? I know there was a trail of blood, and they found the kid in front of the old. It's at the Cove.
Right? The Winthrop man is in the hospital. He was stabbed on Shirley.
Whoops. Yeah, that as much as everyone else knows. I think. Like, I have not seen any updates since the November 6th news article that basically said a Winthrop man was stabbed, sent to the hospital, injured and bleeding, and there were drops of blood. I've not heard any other update.
And the transcript didn't do any. No, well,
they didn't even report on
that. Penny saver.
They didn't even report. I mean, you could find it in the police blotter, and I guess they think that's sufficient.
That's a story you might want to dig into, but I guess I don't know. Whatever the transcript does, whatever who's ever birdcage there, it's covering the bottom of. But yeah. So what else is going on? You sent me a video earlier. I didn't get to listen to it because I was creating the new background for the Winthrop Votes live stream.
I got
the new intro music.
Top-notch work, my friend.
Look at that. Look at me.
I mean, I might lose you to someone who's going to pay.
Yeah, well, I don't need the money, buddy. I by no means do I need the money, so I'm sticking around.
Oh, well, damn it. So, well, okay. So you've been posting, we've been talking. This has been a hot topic issue, nationally and locally, frankly, with regards to gender dysphoria and transgenderism and the like. And I'm sure there's a bunch of eyeballs rolling. Here we go again.
So, well, this is all based on the book that is now in the second grade in the elementary school.
Yes.
Jack, Not Jackie, and
the
resource that it is for children that probably can't count to 20, but it's a resource,
right?
And it's basically it's grooming. It's an indoctrination process.
Yeah,
that it's a radical gay agenda that's being thrown at schools. I said this about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago. They target the middle schools, and I just posted something today on again a middle school being targeted with this agenda. It's part of the game plan, and this is where we're at. And now they're bringing it into elementary school. They have no bottom. They're a black hole. These people are just a black hole.
Well, and
soulless.
Let's distinguish, because let's distinguish the people. There are people in this country. It's pretty obvious who they are, who are Marxists. Frankly, they're Marxists. There's no getting around it. I mean, I don't think they're shy. We saw in Winthrop, Karl Marx is my daddy. That young lady was holding that sign up that said Karl Marx is my daddy. But but shifting the focus of this thing that the Marxists are using and bringing it into what is actually happening in our classrooms everywhere. The book in question you're talking about, right? These things are looked at as innocuous, harmless, maybe even helpful. And what many don't understand from a human behavior perspective and a psychology perspective is this whole imprinting thing, right?
That's what they're doing. They are very aware of what they're doing.
Normalizing.
Do not say that they don't know anything. They know exactly what they're doing.
Well, I mean,
and they're getting away with it.
Who's the they is the question, right? Because
the activist teachers, the activist school administrators, that's who's doing it. They get their hands on it, and again, it's put into play.
So the challenge or the problem is this. Getting back to that book, Jack, Not Jackie. You look at it, it seems innocuous, it seems harmless until you actually understand, first of all, globally, what is happening actually in education from the educators side of the equation, teachers. The pedagogy story, right? Pedagogy is what? The way, how you're teaching, the way you're teaching, right? The way that the content is delivered. And in Massachusetts, I can only speak for Massachusetts. I showed this, I think it was last week. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has resources under their social justice page from this guy, Paulo Freire. where some of this stuff comes from. But all these resources are about the pedagogy. Paulo Freire is the man behind the pedagogy of the oppressed. Everything they're trying to do is to get you to look at things and say, yes, oppression. Everybody is oppressed. You have to look at the world as the oppressors and the oppressed. That's the whole thing. And the pedagogy of the oppressed, it's very complicated, and I don't want to get lost in it, but it is deliberate. It is a methodology. It is deliberate, and it is tied to Marxism. Okay, so let's get off that now because I don't want to lose the audience on that. Here's the problem it's causing. We're talking about young children who go through gender affirming care. I'm going to read a letter of a young woman named Chloe Cole, who is suing her doctor for malpractice. And just a little more context. We now know that the Vanderbilt Hospital, I believe it's in Tennessee, who used to advertise to do on their website that they do gender affirming surgery, they're not doing it anymore. They've at least taken down the website. And this other outfit in Britain has since stopped doing them altogether. Tavistock, I think is the name of it, or Tavistock. Father Walter was telling me about it. They long ago had stopped doing this stuff. Well, not long ago, but long ago compared to where we are. Anyway, so let me jump into this real quick. My name is Chloe Cole, and I am from the Central Valley of California and a former transgender child patient. I am currently 17 years old and was medically transitioning from ages 13 to 16. After I came out to my parents as a transgender boy at 12, I consulted a pediatric therapist in July of 2017 and was diagnosed with dysphoria by a quote-unquote gender specialist. The following month, the healthcare workers are trained to strictly follow the affirmative care system, even for child patients, in part because of California's conversion therapy ban. Okay, so what she means is there is an affirmative care system for gender dysphoria, and it doesn't include, it was quote unquote conversion therapy. It doesn't include, I shouldn't say it doesn't include therapy, but it's a very strict and rigid, you start with talking to a gender specialist, then you're turned over to an endocrinologist to get your drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So continuing, there was very little gatekeeping or other treatments suggested for my dysphoria, right? Nothing other was suggested for her dysphoria other than the affirming care track. When my parents asked about the efficacy of hormonal, surgical, and otherwise, quote unquote, affirming treatments in dysphoric children, their concerns were very quickly brushed aside by medical professionals. I didn't even know detransitioners existed until I was 1. The only person who didn't affirm me was the first endocrinologist I met. He refused to put me on blockers and expressed concerns for my cognitive development from the puberty blockers. He's the only one. Mind you, side note, Scott, the New York Times wrote an article recently that I only read a portion of it. It was sent to me again by Father Walter, that takes a pretty balanced look at this gender dysphoria and the side effects or the after effects of transitioning. And it's very balanced. And even the New York Times now is coming around to like, let's put the brakes on starting so early, so young. Carrying on. However, it was easy to see another endocrinologist to get a prescription for blockers and testosterone, just like getting a second opinion for any other medical concern. After only 2 or 3 appointments with the second endocrinologist, I was given paperwork and consent forms for puberty blockers, Lupron and androgens testosterone, respectively. Okay. After 2 years in testosterone, I expressed to my therapist that I was seeking top surgery or the removal of my breasts. This is common, right? When the testosterone's not doing it, they get that initial feeling of starting to feel better when they're on the blockers. Then when that's not enough, they go seek something else, right? She was recommended to another gender specialist who then sent me to a gender affirming surgeon. After my first consultation with the surgeon, my parents and I were encouraged to attend a top surgery class, which had about 12 female to male kids. I was immediately struck by how early some of them seemed in their transition and how some were much younger than I was. I was 15 at the time and had been transitioning for 3 years, full stop. So under 15-year-olds are in the top surgery process part of this. I don't know. I mean, how can people say this isn't harmful? And I think I know why. Because I don't think they know, they don't think they realize how many of these children are actually detransitioning. In retrospect, the class inadvertently helped to affirm my decision because of the sense of community provided by seeing girls like me going through the same thing. Despite all these consultations and classes, I don't feel like I understood all the ramifications that came with any of my medical decisions. I did not realize how traumatic the recovery would be, and it wasn't until I was almost a year post-op that I realized I wanted to breastfeed my future children. I will never be able to do that as a mother. And she goes on to say she's having long-term health effects, urinary tract issues. They're getting worse during the detransition. She has blood clots in her urine, inability to fully empty her bladder. The overall function of her reproductive system is completely unknown at this time, and she has irreversible changes, including no more breasts. And she may have face complications for the rest of her life. So, okay, maybe it's time for us to, and by the way, I've literally read over 100 different stories, not in full like this one, like this, and there are literally tens of thousands of them, of these people detransitioning. So it's time to pump the brakes. Why that book matters, we go back to the imprinting. When you normalize things, when you start to put things in people's minds, they don't seem too strange when they're there often and early, right? It's not a big leap to go from Jack, not Jackie to, hey, maybe you too might be feeling not comfortable in your own skin. What's worse too, Scott, is as you talk to more of these folks who were going through this at a young age, what ends up happening in the end, if you just let it run its course, have them seek some mental health therapy, not what were they calling it? Whatever. They were making fun of it. Just regular psychological therapy to understand. If you just let it run its course, because it's mostly girls who go through this statistically. And let's remember, girls go through, I think, much different changes than boys. They're more hormonal. They start having blood from their bodies. And if you're 11 years old, and that is happening to girls who are 11 years old. I know girls that are 11, 12 years old in my neighborhood that are fully developed. That can be very traumatic for them. And that's why they start to feel some of these things. So, yeah, I wanted to share that from the whole medical perspective, and that we need to pump the brakes on these things, and we need to stop introducing it at such a young age. It's not good to normalize this because there are consequences, at least until the science is actually settled. And it's definitely not settled.
Well, that's what I've been saying. They're a black hole, these people, these radical gay activists, and the people that support them. They are soulless. And I know people to say the words radical gay agenda, people flinch.
Strong words that turn them off.
I don't care. You know what? You don't like it? Screw you.
You don't like
I'll say it because it's true.
It is true.
I speak the truth. It's a radical gay agenda, and I'm sick of and that's a whole nother thing. Oh, you can't say that. I could say whatever the hell I want. If you don't like it, beat feet. I'll say it to your face. I'll say it to anyone, anywhere. It's a radical gay agenda. There's no sugarcoating this. And they are implementing their agenda on children. On children. This radical gay agenda has actually put the gay rights movement, the people that were following it from the 60s on, and they made a lot of progress. They got a lot of supporters over the years. You know what? Talk about pumping the brakes. You know how many people, heterosexuals, just pump the brakes and you know what? This is out of control. I don't want anything to do with these people. I don't want anything to do with them. They're out of control. Now, that's not all of them. Like I say about teachers.
That's right.
They're good teachers. We have a mutual acquaintance. You introduced him to me.
Yep.
He's a gay man, and he's very conservative. He doesn't, so I'm not labeling everybody. Only those radical gay activists and the activist teachers, who are, some of them, radical gay activists also. They enjoy this. It's almost like petulant children. I'm going to do this because. I'm going to do this because, you know. And they have no care. They are the most selfish, egotistical people on the planet. Anyone that also, the people that refer to themselves as she, her, and he, him, that is as selfish and egotistical. Narcissistic is the word I'm looking for. Narcissistic.
It's worse when they keep changing them.
They are the absolute most narcissistic. You put he, she, her at the end of your name, or he. That is just absolutely narcissistic. Look at me. This is what I'm doing. Anyways, back to the point. This is in Winthrop schools, people. This is not, you can look and say, you're being over the top. No, I'm not.
We're not.
No, I'm not. I have good resources.
All people have to do is go look to the British.
But they won't. How many people showed up at the school committee meeting?
Well,
they won't. So listen, I always say, I might not like what you're doing. I hate what you're doing. I hate what they're doing. But you know what? They had a plan. They formulated the plan. They put it into action, and it's working, and good for you. You can't take that away from them. They're implementing the plan, and it's working because people are afraid to say radical gay agenda. I don't want to cross that. I don't want to be a phobic, homophobe, istophobe, all sorts of phobes. They love throwing it out there, you know. And I'm sure they know who you and I are. And I'm sure they think I am an absolute 100% unadulterated, all-American homophobe. And they can think all they want. I just know what's right and what's wrong.
You're never going to get the activists to talk about this or to come to engage in.
No, they hate us. They don't talk to us because they
forget about us. Not even us, just any one of them around this conversation. But boy, it would be great. Like, okay, so I've done a little bit of research. The assistant principal of the Fort Banks is the one who sent out the emails. She's the one who's assuring us that it's just a resource. And the people I've talked to that know her say she is definitely not one of the activists. Okay, maybe she's not. That's fine.
Maybe she was forced into it.
Or maybe what I'm trying to get at is I really think that some of these people are, no, I think that because they too have been exposed to this early imprinting on their brains and that they've been trying to normalize some of this stuff for a long time. And I don't believe anything more than they just really think they're doing a good thing here. They're trying to be helpful. I don't think they've ever seen or bothered to look for the side that we just presented tonight. And I would ask every teacher in the Winthrop school system to challenge any teacher in the Winthrop school system that believes and Wendy Millar and everyone else we know.
Friend of the show.
Yep. Everyone else we know who is for this kind of stuff being in the school. Open up your mind for us, please, and just do the research. Try to prove to yourself to be wrong. Because I tried to prove I was wrong about my views. And at every turn, the science that they showed or that I read for the pro-affirming care.
It's not about the science. Well, it's about the feel-good experience of saying, I'm helping a poor.
But if they went the next step and saw what they're doing to this girl, Chloe is a mess because of people like the ones we have, right? She's a mess because of people who thought it was a good idea to introduce this stuff to her at a young age.
The parents had something to do with it too.
Well, you're right.
The parents are probably the most one at fault.
Why would they not questioning this stuff?
Well, because they are part of the cult. I don't mean a cult.
That shows you how easily people can be fooled. It shows you how easily people can be fooled, brainwashed, and pressured. And by the way, going back to Paulo Freire, he knew this. You know what it is?
This generation of parents, this generation of young parents are afraid of their kids. They're literally afraid of their kids because they don't want to be called out. They don't want to be, I'm whatever. They don't want to, if the kid says, you're a homophobe, and the parents just don't want to hear that. They say, okay, we'll go along with it. But then there's the parents. There's the parents that are like, you know what? Snap out of it. We're the bad guys, though. We're the bad guys. I'm 11. I want gender affirming surgery. Get the f out of here.
Well, let me say this another way. Actually, let me say this another way. If the science was out there, for me, this is just for me. If the science was out there and it said that, and they could show me that 80% of the people who go through this end up with a positive result, do it. I hate to say this, but you got to sacrifice the needs of the few for the needs of the many. That's just life. And so, but they can't. In fact, it's looking like it's quite the opposite, actually.
Oh, again, anyone that goes after kids is soulless in my book. Absolute soul. And they can look in the mirror and say, I'm doing the right thing. But, you know, these things have a way of creeping up on you as you get older. And I'm sure some of them are going to look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have been on board with that. Maybe that was a mistake. You know, kind of like the vaxxers. Hey, how about those COVID vaxxers? How about you need to get you? How's that working out for you? That didn't age well, did it? Well, you know what? This issue is going to be the same thing. You are going to look back and go, oops. Hey, how about those BLM marches? How about all those people that marched for BLM in Winthrop? How'd that work out for you? Huh? You found out they were stealing millions, buying $6 million houses, and then quitting BLM and going into private industry. How'd that work out?
Hope you gave them lots of money.
Are you enjoying your life? Are you looking back at any point and going, that might have been a mistake? This stuff that's going on, and I'll only speak for the Winthrop schools, because it's certainly not going on in Florida.
Nope.
Our governor, the next president, made sure of that. And wait till he gets into office.
That's the only.
He's Donald Trump with brains.
Yeah, that's uncouth.
That's what I should say. Trump's not an idiot. Trust me.
No, he's not.
No, but these people that you're gonna have to look at yourself someday. When you lead that one kid in the wrong direction and then something bad comes out of it, you're gonna be like, oh, what are you gonna say? I'm off on to the next kid. That was an anomaly. No, you are helping a serious problem is on the horizon. Let's put it that way.
I mean, well, here's the reverse. If you're a teacher that or anyone, actually, forget about being a teacher, but if you're someone in a child's life who encouraged this and then they turn around and they kill themselves because they lost their breasts, at 13 years old because of not just your advice, obviously, but the advice of others, how do you feel about
Unless they're sociopathic, they have to live with that.
That's right.
They can stay on the outside. I'm telling you, you're going to lead a kid into the wrong direction. And all it takes is one to have blood on your hands and blood on your soul. That's all it takes. And these people that are pushing this agenda, I mean, they have an absolute talent at not seeing things. That's one thing I've noticed.
Blatant.
It is an amazing ability to not see things.
I know.
If it's in front of them, they're like, what? That kid killed? I didn't see that. What? It's amazing.
I know Lee Foley either watches or gets her information from someone because every time I
Lee Foley, she, her.
Sorry.
Get it right. A narcissistic she, her.
Not playing that game. But I would like to, I'd love to ask her if she knows anything about these young children like Chloe Cole.
Doesn't care.
And what say you about that?
Soulless. Just all about the agenda, all about the hive mentality, the Borg.
No, I
part
actually
of the Borg.
Father Walter made this point. I actually think it's misplaced empathy. And I think it's more severe in people who have something going on up here. Okay. Like my son said to me one day, who hurt you, Dad? Okay. Who hurt me? Well, who hurt these people so much that they're willing to use the child as a virtue signaling tool, maybe uses the wrong word, or misplace this empathy without really doing it. I mean, these are children.
Yeah.
Right?
So I tell you, soulless. You go after children, you are soulless. You are a soulless person that has you're sociopathic. You can't see right from wrong.
And I really wish, the principals and the superintendent of our school and all the building administrators.
They're afraid of them. They're afraid of them.
Would say, you know what? This has to stop.
They're afraid of them. They're
Stand
afraid
up
of
to the DESC. Tell Riley to go pound sand like this. These resources need to be taken down and studied and beaten up and debated. And we should never normalize this until science tells us to normalize it. Right now,
we're messing with kids, like I said, that don't even understand. That don't even understand Sesame Street. How you can look at that and say, "This nothing wrong with that. It's a resource. It's a resource." Imprinting, grooming, indoctrinating, it all fits. And they can say, no, you're a homophobe. You just don't. I'm not actually, but hey, they're the ones that have to look in the mirror. That's all I have to say. Unless they are that out of it. They are that, I'll use the word again, sociopathic, that they just think there's nothing wrong with anything. Anything I do is right.
For some people, this is okay. I mean, think about the people you've seen on Twitter wishing death to some of the Republican politicians. I've never once wished death on anyone. But
Nancy Pelosi.
Actually seen, nope, I won't wish death on that woman.
It's a terrible thing. It's a
people
terrible
on
thing.
Twitter who are, you can see they've got the fist and the rainbow flags and they everything hate Republican and they're wishing death on people. What is wrong? What is it?
The party of peace?
Yeah, right. Peace. As long as you agree with me, I know we kind of.
They came out and said recently that conservatives is now the party of the people.
Who said that?
Conservatism. I forget what show I was watching recently, and they said conservatives are the party of the people because we're for the average person.
Well, I agree with you, but the election didn't say that.
Again, listen, it's you've, like my brother always said, get the government you vote for or you don't vote for.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
All right, we're coming up in an hour. This was a rant-filled episode. The hell?
Somewhat of a rant.
We're gonna have these sometimes. We're gonna have them sometimes.
I think overall it was the message is out there. All I'm saying is, let's pump the brakes.
Pay attention to the schools. People have to
brakes. This is scary stuff, and there are children. I maybe left this out. There are children that the data is showing that the suicide rates are actually higher post or the ideations are actually higher post gender affirming care. So careful what you're pushing on people.
They don't care. They think they're doing the right
thing. The ones who do.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Anyway. All right. Well, that's it. We killed an hour, buddy. Thank you for Frank Marino for coming on.
Frank Marino.
Let me put up his graphic
one more time. Give this guy some business. He is his stuff is.
If you missed it, watch the beginning of the show. The guy, he makes some amazing art out of PVC birds, wildlife. Yeah, wildlife birds.
And for it to move, I'm not, like I told you earlier, Scott, I'm not moved by any old art. There are pieces and there are things that move me. I stopped dead in my tracks when I saw those things because I'm like, that looks like PVC, and lo and behold, I was right, and it was something else. So I hope he gets a couple out of this anyway.
Yeah. Again, you can see if you missed the beginning of the show, just go back and watch it. Frank Marino of Frank's Innovative Birds, right? Is that what it is?
Frank's Innovative Birds. Frank's Innovative out of Tewksbury.
Bird Creations. Frank's Innovative Bird Creations. And once again, there's his phone number. He doesn't have a social media presence, but I'm trying to get him one. Trying to hit around. You got to do it, Frank. But he doesn't do it for the money. He likes to donate time for the veterans and for for nursing homes. So God bless him for doing that.
Yep. All good. Well, another hour gone, and I think we did a really good job today stressing how important local politics is, because guess what?
Pay attention to the schools
at the local level.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Your schools, your local Congress people, all of it. Pay attention, kids. And thank you again. It's always a pleasure to talk to you all, and we'll see you next week.
Can I do my outro?
Of course, you can. I'm done now. You go.
You just kind of stole my thought. I was going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. But you said that already. And You are the engine that runs this machine, and without you, I'd be yelling at Todd right now.
Oh, go ahead. Everyone else does.
All right, episode 61 in the books. 61, buddy. 62 next week.
That's it.
They thought we weren't going to make it past 6. Look at us. All right, everybody. See you next week.